Hi, and welcome to Integrating Equitable and Inclusive Family Engagement Practices using the Family Engagement Framework and Toolkit. My goodness, that is a mouthful. Uh, but yeah, we're here today to explore what the CDE has to share about just integrating engagement practices. So while we're waiting for people to come in into our webinar today, if you don't mind just introducing yourself and sharing why you are passionate about the work you do. This will be like a 3-minute intro. Okay, well, welcome again. Let me go ahead and advance this.
Both are open.
Okay, so my name is Jaime Koo, and I'm your presenter today. I am the Parent Engagement Coordinator here at the Santa Clara County Office of Education, and I'm passionate about the work that I do because I really feel like the family unit is the core unit of our society. And when we have healthy relationships, and that sets up our families for success, sets up our students for success. And so my role today is to just really share with you some of the different strategies on how we can continue to create more inclusive environments. I'm using the Family Engagement Framework and Toolkit from this CDE. So I just want to start off with a little bit of an introduction, just kind of see where we all are. I'm going to drop a pre-workshop survey into the chat here, just to kind of yeah, just kind of see where you are. There's three questions there. Let's take a moment to do that. Okay, so I'm just going to pop over here and just take a quick peek at the responses. And so we can kind of get a framework of where we are. So thank you. Everybody's here to look for new strategies that they can use to enhance your family engagement practices. And we kind of have like a little half and half on the California Department of Education's framework and toolkit on family engagement. So that's the work that I do. I'm the champion for family engagement here over at Santa Clara County. And so it's an honor and a privilege for me to share just a few things with you today. Yeah, it's just kind of all over the board with how familiar. Okay. And I have one question there at the very end. If you know, if your district has a family engagement plan. So that's kind of where we're starting. That's our starting point. Okay, so thank you so much for sharing a little bit about where you are. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. I'm seeing in the chat, we have people from special education, from other COEs. Thank you and welcome for being, welcome, and thank you for being here. All right, so this is a quote from Stephen Covey. He's an educator, author, businessman, and speaker, and he wrote The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And as you know, we're all looking for ways to grow in parent engagement, family engagement, and we're here to just start looking at something new. Our goals for today, and you can see there's a lot of different things that we're going to touch upon. And I have 6 different strategies. Number 1, align school district family engagement practices, 6 types of caregiver involvement, differentiate for each level of family engagement. Take a look at the list there, numbers 1 through 6. Since we're a small group, we only have 10 people here today, feel free to unmute yourself, okay? Because I really want this to be interactive. Which of these 6 really resonate with you today?
Um, Hi, everyone. Number 2, differentiate for each level of family engagement implementation resonates with me the most. When I see the word differentiate, it automatically sparks that special educator part of my brain. And knowing that our families are coming from different places, they have different experiences and perceptions, and that we need to cater how we work and serve our families differently to match where they are coming from and what level of support that they need.
Right, right. Thank you, Kristen, for sharing that. Okay, so as we go along here, if there's something else that kind of like is an aha moment for you, feel free to just share. We'll have lots of different times during our presentation today that we can just share with one another and just have conversations to really connect. All right, so let me show you guys a few things to start with. First and foremost, does your school or district organization already have a family engagement plan? I think I saw in the pre-assessment that we only had one example of a family engagement plan dropped in. If you don't know, I want to just share with you really quickly that there's really good reasons why we should have something down in writing. Number 1, it just documents that you have a relationship with the community. This is a commitment that you have with families. You've invited them to the table. You've had a conversation with them. These are, some of the important things that you want to communicate and just to have a relationship. And most importantly, when something is just kind of sitting in a document, it kind of establishes accountability. It's like, this is what we find valuable. This is what we're going to commit to having with our families and our communities, and to invite frequent revisits of, what does this plan look like? How do we do this past year? Are there areas where we need to just kind of pause because it's not moving forward, and other areas where we need to explore more because it's working? We've got something going on here. So even if it's a one-page plan, um, I encourage you to start somewhere. Okay, let me give you a few examples. I'm going to open up this theory of action. Actually, I'm going to drop these links into the chat so you have them. And these are a couple of examples that I have found, and it just shows you the wide range of family engagement plans. Okay, so we have here a theory of action from Milpitas. It is from 2015, and they've decided to use theirs as kind of like a theory of action. They went into the whole whys. They dug deep. This is why we need this. I think you should be able to view it. Okay, and then they went and explored what does this look like? And it's not fancy, it's just a bulletin notes, right? But it's a starting point. This is what we really want it to look like. And then scrolling down, then they have the current reality, where we want to move it, right? What are some of those outcomes that we really want for our students? And they just started just documenting this. Okay, so you see they have a working plan. They have some ideas for professional development for their family-facing professionals. They have some leadership goals for parents, and there we go. And you can see it's there. I don't know if it's been updated. It is from 2015, but it exists, and we're celebrating that today. Okay, and you can see they have some really specific socio-emotional development needs and some other trainings. Like Projects Cornerstone and Los Dichos, that they're really targeting family needs. Okay, let me also show you Bakersfield. Now, Bakersfield actually received a Golden Bell Award as best practices for their family engagement program. They decided to use a very technical document, but it's here also, and you can look through this. How will parents and family members be involved in the development of this policy? They have the ed codes, they have the different things kind of listed there, board policies and such. So they got very specific. But you can see here again, it's a plan. I believe this is from, I'm sorry, I'm going to scroll real quickly. This is the most recent document. They're adopted June 28th, 2023. So plans have a really wide range. The idea is to get started, put your ideas down, and just see where it can go from there. So my invitation to you is just to kind of look around and see what might exist. Some of these plans, just do a quick Google search. I'm going to give you a minute. Let me give you another example of one. I'm not going to open it up. I'm just going to put it into the chat here. It lives on Oakland's family engagement website. They have it very visible on their website. Anybody can go and look it up. Okay, so I'm going to invite you guys to find something. It might be your own districts, might be your own organizations. It might be another one because maybe you stumbled upon another one. And the question that we're going to be looking into is, what did you like about it? Maybe also, what would you have liked to see? Okay, so I'm going to start the timer here for a minute. I'm going to give you guys time to just do a quick little Google search. Thank you, Katie, Palo Altos. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Thank you, Kristen. Yeah. Okay. So that was a super quick minute. What did you guys find? What did you guys discover? This is an open-ended sharing time right now. Awesome. Some more coming in. So this one is for early learning classroom. Thanks, Molly. Did you get a chance to look into it a little bit and see what you liked about it? All right. Kristen, yes, they are differentiated to meet the needs of the community. All right. Yeah. And I see your earlier chat, Kristen, this community schools initiative. Absolutely. Definitely some overlap there. All right. Okay, so if you haven't had a chance to explore some, you can see in the chat there are some excellent examples, and also I kind of showed you some a few of them during our presentation here. So where do some of these plans come from? Oh, let me for that one more time. All right, so the CDE has a family engagement framework, and let me drop those into the chat so you can kind of see where those are coming from. The framework does come in Spanish, if you wanted to share that with your community and have discussions around what you found in the frameworks. So a little bit about the Family Engagement Foundations. These were documents published in 2014, and it has 5 principles for which we should frame our family engagement. And so, sorry, when I say family engagement, there's a lot of different ways. We can say parents, we can say guardians, we can say caregivers, but because the CDE uses family engagement framework, I'm just going to stick with one term today. So family. So centered around family engagement, they will talk about how do we build capacity for both educators and for our families, family members, our guardians. We'll also have how do we demonstrate leadership for the school site principals? What needs to be done to demonstrate leadership? This is always a fun fact. Fiscal. I do the same activity with our community liaisons. We have a network here at Santa Clara County, and they're always surprised, like, how much money are we supposed to use at our school sites? It's in there, fiscal. Monitoring progress and access and equity. So this part's always very important for making sure that all of our student populations are being reached. So even though this was published in 2014, the work really is based on Dr. Joyce Epstein way back in 2000, sorry, not even 2000, it's 1997. So her work here with the school family and community partnerships is about an inch and a half thick. It really answers the question, what is family engagement? How do you build those school site teams? How do you build out your family engagement so that there is differentiated like involvement? Not everybody can come into during a school day, but what are some other ways that parents can partner with schools? So currently it's in its 4th edition, and she has an organization out of Johns Hopkins where she's continuing this work. So in her work, she outlines 6 different types of parent involvement. And if you wanted to look at different ways to involve parents, this would be the way. So I'm going to drop these resources here in the chat as well. So what's really important about her work is she says, you know, if you really wanted to be able to reach a wide range of parents and how they are able to get involved, make sure that you hit one of the 6 different ways. Okay, So let me give you an example. You can kind of see what this looks like here. She kind of dives into what each of these 6 ways are and what it looks like. So some families may be really interested in learning how to support their children at home. This is the parenting aspect, the relationship aspect. Some families are really keen on the learning at home, that type number 4. So how can they support their students with specific academic learning? Or it might even be, families exist in a larger community, and it might be number 6. How do we actually pull in different community resources? So for those of you guys who are really looking into community schools, this is maybe going to be one of those key pillars that you're going to be looking into as well. So if you guys wanted to take a look at your um, family engagement plan, let me show you an example of an elementary school. So let's say that as part of your school site plan, um, you really wanted to improve reading because, maybe during the pandemic, some of the kids' reading scores are slightly behind. So you would line up your parent engagement plan alongside with your school site plan for reading. And the suggestion here is to make sure that your families are being integrated in very different ways. So for example, type number 1, workshops for parents on various ways to read aloud with young children. So this would be at home. How can you elevate that, bedtime reading, to really incorporate skills um, to enhance reading? Out here at the Santa Clara County Office of Education, we do interactive read alouds, and we have training for that. So how can families already use that bedtime reading to incorporate those reading comprehension skills? Okay. Or you might say, for example, have type 3, reading partner volunteers. So another really popular program out here in Santa Clara County is Project Cornerstone, and they integrate parent volunteers, maybe even los tichos, to have them come into the classroom and volunteer reading time with children. So you can see this document is 4 pages. So whatever their school plan is for improving reading or maybe attendance, there's different ways of looking at how you can integrate family engagement. I'm going to give a second for you guys to take a look at that and maybe comment on what you see there. Okay, no comments. I'm going to go ahead and show you the secondary specifically for attendance. Okay, so now it's not academic, it's not literacy. Now it's, kind of like the school climate on attendance. And this one here is specifically for middle school families. So same thing, she's going to use the 6 different types, and she's going to hit upon how can we involve parents in this? So type number 1, she calls this a success summit, but out here it's really popular to have something called a parent university. And maybe for middle schoolers, it's really about life skills. So, this one here is going to be a summit for parents specifically. How can they set up their kids for success around life skills? And this might wrap in like job readiness. You need to be on time to have a job. You need to be consistent. You need to show up to hold that job position. And all of these are key life skills for students, right? So there might be a lot of different things. Even I was a middle school teacher. We even had things like um, setting up a resume, even for middle schoolers, because that is um, that's a different writing skill that is not your academic writing, but it is a writing skill that they'll need. So maybe middle schoolers had a job, babysitting. So how can they incorporate babysitting skills into a resume as a life skill? Let me give you another example. Type number 2, recognition postcards for good or improved attendance. I put into the chat there, youth in and out youth awards. I would definitely look into that. There's some incentives for kids principals can use that to incentivize improved attendance, right? So take a look at all the different resources that may be out there, and just kind of use Dr. Joyce Epstein's different types of family engagement to really align different parent engagement type activities. All right, so I'll leave that there for you guys to think about. All right, what's really key about the family engagement framework here, I'm going to move back to my slide deck, is that the framework actually has an implementation guide. It will kind of key districts in on what a basic implementation looks like, and it kind of moves you through the progressive implementation plans towards innovative implementation. So if you haven't had a chance to look at this in depth, I encourage you to take a look at this for sure. It aligns on the left-hand side column all the federal and state activities. It tells you what the ed codes might be that hits upon. It talks about the different groups like ELACs and DLACs. What does that need to look like for each district? And how you can move your district along to enhance those plans. Okay, I really wanted to give you guys time to look into this. So again, as we stated, there are 5 different district principles. No, this one's still the framework. We'll get into the toolkit in a little bit. So I want you to dive into the framework here. I'm going to pop in the link for the framework once again, and I want you to take a look at an area that is really really interests you. Okay, maybe you go, wow, I didn't know that fiscal and others was actually mentioned. So I want you to take 2 minutes to look specifically at those pages. Just kind of read it through very, very carefully. Maybe access and equity on pages 20 to 22 is what really interests you. Okay, so take a look into that. It's only 2 minutes. After the 2 minutes, we will come back and have like a share out time on what did you notice. Okay. I'm going to start the timer now. Okay. Okay, so that's the end of our 2 minutes, just for you to do some self-exploration of these different topics. Let me forward it. Okay. So we are going to be going into breakout rooms for discussions. There should be enough of us here to have maybe 2 people per room, maybe 3 if there's a lot of interest. You can choose your rooms. If there's nobody else that's going to be in that room, just find another room to join that discussion. But this is really meant for you to just kind of dive into the framework and just kind of share what you notice. Maybe even talk about here. I have uh, some discussion questions that I'm going to put into the chat so you guys can maybe have some guided questions to talk about if you don't have anything that you want to jump off of. Okay, okay. So, yeah, Jenna has opened up all the rooms. We are going to give you 10 minutes so that you can really just talk to one another and connect with people who are doing similar work and just to connect. So yeah, 10 minutes. Did everybody get the questions in the chat? Okay, great. So go ahead and choose your room and just join when you're ready. Hi. Oh,
So I'll bring them back when it's up, and then it's going to do a 30-second countdown. Is that
okay.
okay?
Oh yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, so I'm going to close them. Close all rooms.
Some people are still on their way back.
I
Okay,
like
well, welcome back, everyone. What were some of the themes that came up during your discussions?
So in our group, we shared how we really appreciated the framework, how it walked us through a roadmap in specific levels to really focus and hone in on those areas and see how we can move over to the following areas so that we can become innovative, you know? So just looking at and creating that checklist to see how we can um, move forward. So it was a nice roadmap to support our work.
Yeah, absolutely. There's something for everyone. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else? Go ahead.
I feel like, sorry, and I apologize if I'm taking up too much airtime, but one of the things that I noticed was that the access and equity piece talked about formats and languages. So when I saw the word format, I was really excited because I thought that they would be talking about accessibility for websites. And it wasn't one of the things that I saw there. So
Hmm.
I don't know if we have to write a letter to the CDE asking them to amend their framework, but I think, someone else in our breakout room said all means all. And, we're at an inclusion conference. So it
Hmm.
was disappointing to see that the intersectionality of accessibility wasn't reflected in the framework.
That's a good point. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I wonder if they left that open for interpretation for that reason. Yeah. Uh, it's a very big list. There are 6 different areas. And, depending on the needs of your district and where you are, it may be in different stages, but hopefully what we're getting out of this is that the plan is intentional. There are basic implementation practices, and how can we improve from there? And I hope you see that that is built in. Okay, the next document that I'd like to introduce for you is the toolkit. Okay, dropping the link in the chat again. All right, so basically the Family Engagement Toolkit was kind of like a response to the framework. It was published in 2017, so just a few more years later, and they just realized, the framework is really good for an arching overview, but then what are the nuts and bolts of doing that? So they really they had a committee that got into putting together just describing the foundations again, and how do you establish a really effective district team? How do we get all the voices represented? How do you get all the communities represented? Has there been a search for every representation possible? And then how do you establish the team? How do you create a vision statement? How do you put one in writing? What does that look like? And then also they kind of review the process of continuous improvement. What they also provide is an editable template. So all of the resources that appear in the Family Engagement Toolkit, they also have like case studies and examples and stuff like that. So then they also have the templates for you. Okay. So so they're using the plan, do, reflect, and adjust. And I believe you'll have access to these slides, but I already put in the editable templates. Okay, so let's take a peek at what the toolkit actually looks like. All right, so each section has key questions, and you can see there, maybe it's really too small. I made it a little bit bigger, but they really go through each of the sections and just intentional about how are we creating trusting relationships through this process? How are we making sure that each part of the family engagement plan is really connected to learning for students? And then, of course, then they continue to have some key questions there and also some equity questions. So again, I want to make this time useful for you because as soon as we all disperse, you're not going to take time to take a look at what's inside. So same thing, we're going to take some time to dive into the toolkit. Okay, the toolkit only comes in English. So let me pop that link in again. I'm going to give you 2 minutes. Same thing, it's really short, but go to the section that really interests you. Okay, so when you open up that PDF, it will have the different pages, different sections. And it's about like, maybe if the shorter ones are about a page, but the longer ones are maybe a few pages. Continuous improvement obviously is going to be long because it walks you through the different processes. Again, 2 minutes. Okay, I'm going to start the timer.
We talked about the equity piece, outreach, equity, trying to make sure that we are engaging our families and embedding family engagement in every aspect of what we're doing at school instead of having it be kind of a separate thing. And we were talking about strategies for, keeping our family engagement participants involved kind of on a rotating basis. The person I was speaking with has a committee that she was working on, and I was sharing how our site council parents roll on and off, and they have a 2-year stint. But if we keep experienced families with us, and then have new families join, and we continue that cycle, that would be helpful. But the equity piece is a big one, and that's not just the diversity, but also the inclusive piece as well, and making that space available.
Yeah, Katie, so you mentioned a really interesting concept with the 2-year cycle of how parents need to keep on rotating. How do you keep the parents coming in?
Well, we toward the end of our cycle, well, actually not toward the end, actually February, March, we start a recruitment. And so the parents on site council all reach out to at least one other person that they think would be in addition to mass communication and flyers and kids taking papers home to their parents, we literally talk to people out on the playground. We talk to people at drop off and pick up. We find that that's one of the most effective, when parents are all here in person, to be able to just kind of have a conversation and say, hey, we want you to think about this. So the recruitment is kind of multi-layered, but we tend to get the most have the most success with the face-to-face conversation.
Yes. Thank you for sharing. Would anybody else like to share? Okay, so we covered three main topics today. I mean, yes, there were all the goals, but the first one was from Dr. Joyce Epstein and the 6 different keys and how we can align the parent engagement piece with your school site plan. And then we talked about the CDE framework and then most recently the toolkit. I'm curious to know, what's your very next step for making change towards integrating equitable and inclusive family engagement practices? Is it having a conversation with your parent leaders and saying, hey, can we take a look at our school plan for attendance and can we brainstorm some things around these 6 keys? Or maybe it is, you found in the framework, oh, there's some guidance around, I always go back to the money. Okay, so then it might be a conversation with your direct supervisor about like, what can we do about making sure that our family engagement efforts are fully funded? What's your next step? I would like everybody to either drop it into the chat or maybe just unmute yourself and share. Be nice to make this a very concrete, actionable step for everyone. Oh, yay, the templates. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, all the templates about who's on the team, all of that. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Katie. Okay. A Google Doc. Yeah, just keep the conversation going, just adding to the resources. Absolutely. Yeah. Share with the team, share resources, explore templates. Even at the way, way, way beginning, we had the Milpitas theory of action and maybe some other documents of what those plans might look like, have something in writing. Absolutely. All right, very good. Yeah, so I hope this session today really opened up some perspectives on what's out there, what resources are already available. Of course, I'm available as your family engagement coordinator. I do offer support in different areas. I'm offering technical assistance for family engagement plans. And support is a wide range. I have one district who said, hey, Jamie, can we use some help? We know we need community liaisons. So this year they started with, they brought in a community liaison at each school site for 1 hour a day. It's a start. So it's all about like, how do we get, that 1 hour a day, the best effective use of that 1 hour. And they want to have once a month meetings. Okay, what do we need to talk about to build out our community liaisons in this one district? At the same time, we have another district who already has a well-established community liaison group, and now they're going into the community school. So now how do we enhance their role and what professional development needs to happen for those liaisons. So it could be customer service training, it could be training for home visits, it could be home cultural humility training to just build the capacity of liaisons. So whatever your next step might be, if you want to brainstorm or just have some thought partnership around that, I'm here for you. All right. And then lastly, this slide has all of the documents linked again. So if you are able to capture this slide deck somehow, I'm assuming there's like a resource folder on the app somewhere. I'm not sure where that is, but I do ask for your feedback on whether or not this was useful and relevant to you. Let me see if I can grab that link. I can't grab that link. Thanks, Jenna, for putting the slides, the link to the slides. Okay, we have a few minutes. If you'd like to just hang out, just have some questions for me that I'll be here until 11:30, but thank you so much for being here and just using this time to explore how we can enhance our family engagement plans.